here we have the pop-up piano. There are 2 pages to this kit. There's the backing sheet that obviously you can use whatever you want, and there's the piano itself. Now there are some different coloured lines here that you may be able to see on the video or may not, I'm not sure. There's a pink line here on all these pieces, there's a blue line here on these pieces, and then there are the black lines. The blue lines are mountain folds. And mountain folds, if you're not familiar with the term, is a fold like that. The pink lines are valley folds, which is like that. And the black lines are your cut lines. So we'll go ahead, take a ruler, and we will score all of the pink lines with the back of a craft knife. You can use a scoring tool. You don't want to cut through, just make a score. If I do it the other way around, I'll be able to better see what I'm doing. There's another little one here, a little one here, and here, here, and across the far edge of the piano stool. There are also blue lines that we need to score. We'll go from the back to the front. There's one here, one here, tiny little one there. On this side of the piano itself, there's one, the keyboard, and then there's the front of the keyboard itself. Tiny little one here, here, at the front of the piano stool, and then there are also, we'll turn it round so I can see where I'm going. There's also across the feet of the piano and the feet of the piano stool. So that's our score marks done. Now we can go in and begin to cut. I'll do it the other way around so I can see the piano. I'm not hiding that with the ruler. Make it easier to know where I'm starting and stopping. Now keep your fingers splayed on the ruler so you've got some nice firm even pressure. You don't want that paper slipping about. And we'll start off by making all the vertical cuts. And there's one from the top of the piano, slightly extending over the keyboard there. We'll stop here. And if you put your knife in, you can pivot the ruler about so you can get a nice good line up there without having to do much faffing. There we go, we've cut through these layers now onto this one. I think that goes down to there, that's right. And then from the, I think we're only going, where are we going here with this one? We're going to the start of that little blue line here. So we're just extending past this blue line, going up to the next blue line there. Up to the top of the piano. Now we have one more vertical line, and that's just this one at the end. So that's our vertical lines done. We've got some curved lines to contend with. So we'll do that. Nice firm pressure, don't go too fast. That's that one. I'll check we've just cut through. Yeah. We've got some horizontal lines to cut as well. There's one here. There's one here. Oh, I've missed a vertical line. There's a vertical line that runs down from this blue line to this corner here. So I'll do that one. Now we've got some more smaller horizontal lines to cut. So it's up to you if you want to do those with your knife, with your ruler, or by hand. And because I'm being a bit lazy about it, I'm going to do it by hand. I'll just go around these tight curves. You need a nice sharp knife for this. I've gotten a little bit off there. You might find that using less pressure and making the cut a couple of times is easier for you and gives you a better result. And then you can just go in and check that you've made that cut, which I haven't. There we are, that's cut now. And we go down the legs. I'll use a ruler to go down the legs, just to that point there. And down to there, and a curve for these ball feet on the piano. There we are. I've done that one there. I've done this one here. Now here's a confusing one that you might miss. There's a little curve here. You're just cutting that curve all the way around to this blue line here. And you're also cutting, there's a slight error in my blue lines here, you're also cutting from the tip of that curve to the tip of this vertical cut here. There we are. Now I'll go and do the bottom of the piano. I'm just going to do this by eye because these horizontal straight lines are only little. I feel quite confident that I can do them by eye. And you'll see that I'm turning the paper here as well as using my knife to get around those corners. So that should be that piece cut. That's it. Around this ball foot, down this leg here. Getting rather bold now doing these straight lines without the ruler. And we've got a cut, tight little curve here. To there. We've already made this vertical cut down to hopefully the end of the piano. Yeah, down to the end of the piano. So I'll go and make these little curves here, down that leg, round the ball of the foot. Now if you make any mistakes here, it's not insurmountable. If you cut somewhere you're not supposed to cut, you can just put a piece of preferably matte, clear, sticky tape over the place that you've accidentally cut, and you can remake that cut. Because you'll be so wowed when you open up the pop-up piano that you won't notice a little bit of tape on the back tucked away from everything. Right, that should be everything. I should have all my pieces cut now. And that didn't take too long, did it? Oh, I've got a little piece here I haven't done. I'll just do that. Now it should all be free. I also need to go in and give myself a score line here and here. There are some lines on the page that you can follow. So it will seem at first like it's not going to go, and you'll wonder how on earth you make this piano pop up. But if you just fold these two pieces at the sides and just start encouraging it up, encourage that valley fold there at the back of the piano. That's going to be one of your best friends in getting this folded. Encourage this fold here on the back of the stool, and these little ones on the back of the piano like this. I hope you can see this in the video. And then when it decides it's going to go, encourage those mounting folds as well at the front. I've got a little piece here I haven't cut. There's a little curve on the front of this piano keyboard there. That's going to make the world of difference now I've cut that. So encourage these mounting folds, these blue lines, to fold outwards like this. And then once it decides it's going to go, it will actually go. And once you've done that, you've done it. It's done. It's finished. You've got your pop-up piano. That's a little bit of a fiddle to begin with. Once you start encouraging these pieces to fold inwards and these pieces to fold outwards, it will all of a sudden come together. With this one, I glued it onto a sheet of black card because I love the idea of this suggesting a shadow underneath. I can go and do some inking on this. It's a little tricky, but it can be done. I did it on the last one. You might decide you don't want to do that and risk your work, but these edges, you can still see this faint blue line. That will cover up quite nicely, and we'll get a nice finish on those outward folds, on those mounting folds. The valley folds we can't do anything about really, and you might find that we'll cover up that bit of white paper as well on these edges. You can go in and do that. And if you've cut a little bit inaccurately in a couple of places, which I have here, a little bit of ink does a lot to cover up those mistakes. That'll do, I won't do too much. So there it is. I'm going to mount this onto card just to give it some more rigidity. If I'd printed my journal out on thicker stock, I could have just gone straight in and glued it in my journal. So I'll mount that one, and in the meantime I think I'll use this as my journal spread, and I'm going to trim it down. So to trim it down, I opened it out and just carefully trimmed around these edges, and I've also trimmed a little bit off the top and the bottom. You need to be careful that you don't cut too far, unless you want that piano showing, of course. I've cut a little bit too close there, and I've got a little bit of piano showing. That could be a feature if I wanted it to be. So there. I'll glue this in now. I'll decide where I want it. And now I'll put a nice piece of matting, some kind of pocket or something on there for that page. And when I open it up, I've got my beautiful pop-up piano.